Hey everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood coach, Jason, and I wanted to continue the conversation about limiting beliefs that negatively impact relationships. So, the first big idea I want to talk to you about that I see a lot of is this idea that people doubt that people change, which means they're in a relationship with somebody, whether that person is their significant other or a business relationship, and they really have no faith that the other person can change for the positive, which is funny because typically the thing that is breaking the relationship or the trust in the relationship is what would be seen as a change for the negative. The first way that we can move through this is to do what's called doubting your doubts. When you're sure that something can't happen or won't happen, take a look at yourself and see if that thing has happened. Have you ever changed for the positive? Have you been able to pick up habits that are better? Have you been able to do things that are a net positive for the relationship that you are in over time that you were not able to do? If that answer is true, you should doubt your doubts. Now, I'm not talking about sticking around forever because of hope. A lot of us get stuck in a hope trap in relationships, and there has to be a reasonable way to move through conflict, to communicate, and to actually repair when things go wrong. What I am talking about is being able to look at a person and actually see what is happening, not just from your own perspective, but from the perspective of the other person who might want things to change, but hasn't been able to figure it out on their own. A lot of people need help. Sometimes, yes, they need help from you, their partner. Other times, they need help from a therapist, a coach, mentor, a group that they go to where they talk about what's going on and learn different strategies that other people are using in order to move forward. A big idea I want people to understand that if two people are willing to work on a relationship, it is more than likely that the relationship is able to change for the better. Now, what does being willing to work on the relationship look like? It goes beyond acknowledging that something has gone wrong. It goes beyond being able to say, I'm sorry. You need to be able to repair and move forward, which means when you know that you've done wrong, you don't stonewall the other person. You don't blame them for things that are wrong that they do when they bring up something with you that is damaging to the relationship. You admit it and you seek to make things better. You seek to change things so that in the future they're not going through the same thing over and over. At the end of the day, for this one, just as a general thing, no one person can work on the relationship and fix the relationship. A relationship requires that two people will work on it. The relationship is a thing that's between the two people. So you on your own, no matter how many books you read or shows you watch or how many of these kind of videos you watch, you cannot repair the relationship. You need to be with someone who actually will do their part to work on the things that are not working in the relationship. The second limiting belief I see is people giving up and giving in instead of being a scientist. What does it mean to be a scientist in a relationship? If you think about the scientific method, there's a hypothesis. You look at all of the factors affecting that hypothesis, and then you try changing one or many of the factors in order to get the outcome that you want. If the problem is that you feel like you're not getting enough quality time with your partner, you first have to actually make a hypothesis of what quality time is between you and the other person, whether it's your partner or your child or your friend. If you feel like there's not enough quality time, what you need to understand is that two people have different definitions of what quality time means. So you need to actually sit down between the two of you and work out what quality time means for either one of you and understand that it might not be the same thing. So one person might feel great because quality time for them is watching movies or going to the movies together. And so as long as you're going to the movies once, twice a month, they feel like they've been having the greatest quality time. For the other person, quality time might mean that we are actually spending time talking about our future. Neither one of these is right or wrong. They are different definitions of what quality time means to a person. So in this relationship, you need to be able to compromise. And yes, for one person, that means going to the movies, and the other person, it means having these conversations. And both of them have to happen in order for the other person to feel satisfied. In order to do this, you really have to be able to ask yourself, what is it that you want? I know you might think, hey, I got to figure out what the other person wants, but the only thing that you can control is what you want and what you need. This is trial and error as well. The things that you believe you want or need in a relationship, once you get them, you might realize that you don't actually want them. They're not the things that you needed. So there's the fantasies that we have about relationships, and then there's the reality. For some people, when their kids are young, they would say, I never want my kids to move out and I want them to be around me all the time. And then they get older, and when the kids are there all the time, they realize that there's other things that they need in order to feel good, be healthy. It's not just having the kids around all the time that's going to make them healthy. Just as an example, another example would be in the workplace where you say, well, when I make this much money, everything is going to be great. And then you make that much money and you realize it doesn't change that much in your life. This happens to people all the time. Oh, when I finally have enough money to go on vacation in this certain place or do these kind of things, I'm going to be happy. And then they get there and they realize that it's not it. There's a whole field of study around this. It's called arrival fallacy. So, arrival fallacy is when you get to the thing that you've been hoping for and it's not what you thought it is. So, yeah, it's really important for you to be able to figure out what is it that you want, because if you can't figure out what you want, you can't ask for it. Now, keep in mind, this is trial and error, which means ask for what you want, but keep the other people open to the idea that what you want can and will change over time. What you wanted when you were 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 75, if you are blessed to last that long, these are going to be different things for many people. For some people, yeah, it remains the same. But frankly, that is very odd that things remain exactly the same and that your needs remain exactly the same throughout your life. A big question to ask yourself is, how are you reacting to the other person's needs? How much time and energy do you spend thinking about what your partner needs, what your kids need, what business relations you have need? You don't want to overdo it, but there is an amount of time that would be reasonable for you to spend in any relationship, even if it's just 5 minutes of reflection a week to think, hey, what am I doing in this relationship? And how have I been showing up for the other person? It's a really healthy thing to do after you figured out what you want, is to think about how you can show up for the other person. Another thing you can do alone or together is to actually think about what is changing in your lives, both inside and outside of you. All the time, things are changing. We're getting busier. We're having stresses over grief in our lives. We're dealing with our own personal ailments. And this impacts the relationship that you're having with other people. If you don't have conversations, people can't read your mind. They don't necessarily know what is going on and what's been affecting you. And it really helps to have the conversation and let people actually know what is going on. This is important to do for yourself as well. If you haven't thought about the fact that you've been working 12-hour days for the last 3 weeks and how that might impact your mood or how much resilience you have, then you are not really being fair to the people around you. If you haven't been eating properly, if you haven't been sleeping properly, being active, it's going to affect other parts of your relationships. The last thing I'm going to talk about in this series is the consequences of trust. Trust is massive. Trust takes a long time to build up. We give basic human trust very easily. We'll ask people to watch our bag while we're in the washroom at a restaurant or watch our laptop when we're at a cafe. But once we distrust people, if we saw that same person who we now distrust, we wouldn't trust them to do any of that because we've looked at them and assessed that they are malicious towards us. So when you start viewing somebody as negatively, one of the things that happens in a lot of relationships is that we have made the assessment that that person is no longer trustworthy. They are no longer worthy of our trust. Just to make sure that this is valid, my suggestion is usually, again, to be a scientist and document it. Write a list of the things that agree with the fact that the person's not trustworthy. Write it down somewhere. Say, well, so and so's not trustworthy because. But if you're going to be a scientist, you have to look at the conflicting information. What are the things that make the other person trustworthy? Write it down. And then you can look at both options and decide for yourself, is this person trustworthy or is this person not trustworthy? If you've been in a relationship with somebody for years and years and years, but lately you've just been tired of them, or lately you not sure you can trust them, sure, people change, just like I said before, for better or worse. And there may be reasons that you're not trusting them right now. But back to the factors, if you're looking at things have been changing in their life and they legitimately have been busy and tired and not even able to eat properly, there may be reasons that they're forgetting to do the things that they usually do in the relationship that are great for you. And this brings all of the other ideas together. When you're thinking about people not being able to change, that is a factor of trustworthiness. And you really should be a scientist about whether you want to continue trying to build this relationship with them. And this is true of any relationship. There is a point where you can look at a person and say, the bottom line is, I don't trust them. And these are the reasons. And the things that made them trustworthy were decades ago. And if that is the assessment that you have and that's the logic that you have to use, sometimes it is time to take a break. A separation doesn't mean that you are definitely getting divorced, but it can show the other person how seriously you're taking their behavior. It's a sign to yourself to take the time and look at your relationship from sort of a scientific perspective, like what is really going on. This is something that you can do in any relationship. It's something I would encourage you to do. Yes, you should doubt your doubts, but you should document it and be a scientist and see what's really going on. So the exercise I would suggest you do with all of this is take the time to think about why you're doubting your relationship and be a scientist about it. Actually look at what is going on in your relationship, document it, look at the factors that you can and can't change, but be sure that the things that you are saying can't be changed really can't be changed. You should be open to discussing it with the person you're relationship with, even if you think this might be a deal breaker for you and it might be the end. That's something you should be able to talk about. Now, if this is the kind of relationship where you are being abused in any way, shape, or form, and you can't even talk to the person, then for sure you need to seek the support that you can to get out of that relationship. Talk to people that you can trust. Reach out to people that you can inform of what is going on and start to make what's called a safety plan with them for your exit from the relationship. You can reach out to me at jason.munroe@gmail.com. I'll put my email below if you want to chat about any of this or if you want to jump on a call to run through some of the things that I talk about in this video. I'd be glad to help. I hope this helps. Take care of yourself and take care of those you love. Ciao.